Hello and welcome. I'm Felicia from Sweet Georgia, and I am so thankful to be sitting with you here today. This year marks the milestone of 20 years of Sweet Georgia. September 2025 is 20 years. I know it sounds like a long time, but it feels like it's gone by in just a second. And it just feels like yesterday that I was at my dining room table with all of my dye supplies. All of my dye supplies fit into this one little plastic storage bucket. And just everything that was the world of Sweet Georgia fit into that little plastic box. And now, looking back from there to where we are now, it's just a crazy reminder of how this journey has been about transformation, and not just about transformation of the business, but also me, and hopefully for many of you as well. Hopefully, it's a story about finding your way, finding sort of the power of making things by hand, and about the incredible transformative magic that color can bring for us. And that's what I want to share with you today. So, we talk a lot these days about this idea of being a multi craftual maker, about having multiple passions, and about what a challenge that can be. And just looking back, like way back to the beginning, I know that when I graduated high school, I had a big dilemma. I had a few different dreams. I had lots of different passions, lots of different ideas of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And at one time, I wanted to be a fashion designer, but at the same time, I wanted to be an opera singer. And at the same time, I really loved computers and I wanted to do computer programming, but I wasn't good at math. And so for a long time, it felt like the very biggest mistake of my life was that I didn't pursue any one of those passions. I ended up going to university for pharmaceutical sciences, and I knew that from day one that that wasn't the right fit. I already knew that I was on the wrong path. Like inside, I knew. But I didn't want to quit, and so I finished all 5 years of university in pharmaceutical sciences to just make sure that I finished what I started. But what I didn't realize then was that from all of those threads, sort of from the things that I want to do in fashion design, to the things that I learned about chemistry and pharmacy, to the technology that I was learning about as I was trying to become a web developer, all of those things were getting me ready for Sweet Georgia. And so Sweet Georgia became sort of the place where all of those seemingly disconnected parts finally made sense. And it was more perfect than I could have ever imagined. Looking back, I wish that I could talk to my high school guidance counselor and some of my teachers and just tell them about what I have done with the education that I pulled together, because I could never have imagined that this work and this job would be the perfect thing for me. In any case, the real beginning of Sweet Georgia was not necessarily like a business plan or anything like that. It was very much the community. And so in 2004, as I was sort of working as a designer and a developer, I was also, reading about knitting online. And I sort of stumbled into this world of knitting blogs. And it was quite a revelation, because I saw that this blog could be more than just a diary. It was a way to connect and participate in this greater craft community. People were sharing about the things that they had made and showing their mods and sharing their enthusiasm and excitement about things that they had knit. And all of that was so fun to witness. And I wanted to participate in that. And so I started a blog as well. And so the Sweet Georgia blog became my space to document what I was learning to knit. It became the place where I documented spinning, where I learned to spin, and how I learned to dye, and all of that. And so it was the encouragement that I received from that small, early online community that was the reason that I started to take the leap to open a tiny Etsy shop in 2005. And so it was always like community first and commerce second. That has been a part of our DNA from the very beginning. Now, from the start, Sweet Georgia has been about passionate, relentless, and unapologetic color. For me, color is a language. This is my way to tell a story. This is my way to communicate a message without words. Of course, food and music are also wonderful ways of expressing your feelings and your stories and your emotions and all of these kinds of things. And so music and food has always also played into our color stories and things like that. Now, that philosophy of color and working with color has grown and evolved over all of the years. And so in 2022, we launched the Sweet Georgia color system, which was a huge, huge undertaking to ensure that we could create our signature colors and also new colors with real consistency and beauty, and to be able to create colors that would mix and combine effortlessly and perfectly together with each other. Now, our business has grown over the years. Since 2005, I have moved 5, 6, 7 times. The current dye studio that we are working in right now is this basically like the 7th dye studio we've ever built. And the first real studio space that we got was in 2008. And it was actually a live work building in Vancouver. And it was a very, very interesting building. It was by Main and 4th Avenue. And it was full of like other musicians and filmmakers and other artists and things like that. And our space, I think, was on like the 3rd or 4th floor, and you had to take an elevator, you had to ring in to get upstairs and all these kinds of things. But the inside of this building was amazing. It was filled with this interior garden courtyard area. It was just a wonderful, wonderful creative space to be. Now, in this space, we had some incredible opportunities and worked with a number of very large local sporting events that happened in Vancouver in 2010. And we also worked on some movie props and things like that. And it was just a really interesting and fun time, and meeting a lot of other people in the knitwear industry and sort of building a lot of relationships and things like that. But, growth is not easy and it's not a straight line. And so I remember that there was a time when I was just dyeing hundreds of pounds of yarn sort of myself. I was there at the studio by myself, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. And I was getting completely burnt out. And so that is when it started to dawn on me that I needed help. I could not do all the things all by myself. And so one of the very first steps was to start bringing some people in to help and sort of start building this team from scratch. I remember distinctly sitting on the phone, walking around that courtyard at the studio, at that studio in 2008, and walking around on my phone, talking to one of my longtime friends and saying, I don't know how to hire people. I don't know how to do this at all. I don't know what to do to bring on someone to start helping me on this team. And so I had to start from absolutely nothing, knowing nothing, and then just gradually, gradually building this team. I will say that growing the team and building a team is the single most important thing that I think that we've ever done for Sweet Georgia. And realizing that having people help build what you're trying to build is so important. And so again, that challenge to sort of push forward and figure out a way and all of these kinds of things happened again in 2017. I had just written a book called Dying to Spin and Knit. It was published by Interweave Press, and it was great. It was a wonderful, like, bucket list, lifelong dream to have written a book with Interweave, and I was so excited about this. But at the same time, I had just had my second baby in 2016, and so I had like a less than 1-year-old baby at home, and I had this new book that had just launched, and I was getting invitations all over to travel and teach, and I could not do that. Like, a life of traveling and teaching was not an option for me during that time with my young family. And so that constraint for me really helped solidify this new idea that, like, what if we could bring the classroom to the students? What if we could film ourselves teaching, or film myself teaching these dyeing classes, and then share them? And then I wouldn't have to travel, and then you as a student, you wouldn't have to travel, and so we could learn from each other online. And so this is back in 2017 we wanted to do this. And so that is where the idea of the School of SweetGeorgia was born. And so we built this online video-based school to be a resource for multi-craftual makers, like the kind of person who, like me, sort of loves to move between knitting and spinning and weaving and dyeing and all of those things, kind of moving fluidly between all of these different fiber crafts. And so The school was so, so important because it allowed me to be both a mother and also an educator and also this business owner and continue to do all of these things. And it has since grown into this incredible global classroom and community with students from over 80 countries. The school originally started out as just me teaching the classes. I was teaching the dyeing classes and the spinning classes, and it was really meant to be a way to sort of show you up close what was happening, like what's happening in between my hands. How can you look over my shoulder and see what it is that I'm doing? And then like all things, like learning to build a team for Sweet Georgia and our dyeing team, it was the same idea around the school. It was to build a team around the school as well. And so we started to bring on more and more instructors to help teach their specific expertise so that they could share the knowledge and the skills and the experience that they have as well. Again, trying to catch that over the shoulder look, having really up close shots of what they're working on, just being able to communicate that over long distances. That was very much the goal. So, like I said, for a long time, Sweet Georgia was this one woman show. It started 2005, and I did all of the dyeing, I did all the bookkeeping, I did all of the shipping, I did all of the tracking of what needed to be dyed next. I was doing all of the customer service emails, I was trying to build a website, I was trying to build an e-commerce site. It was just so, so, so much work. And making that transition from just me alone to having, more people around on this team to help was the single most important step, I think, in this company's journey. And so I did not have a business background. Looking back, I wish that I'd gone to university and taken business instead of pharmacy, but it is what it is, and I'm getting out of my pharmacy degree what I learned. But in all these years, I'm trying to learn to be a boss, trying to learn uh, to lead a team. It is not easy for me at all. It is very, very different from anything that I had ever learned how to do. And so it's very much been this sort of personal growth journey for myself that I am still absolutely working on all the time. And so today I do want to take a moment to honor all of the people who are at the heart of Sweet Georgia, and that is the people on our team. And so to my amazing team of artisans and creative people and multi-craftual makers and fiber folk, just thank you so much. Thank you for your hands, which are creating this beautiful dyed color. Thank you for your ideas and your care of every single thing that we create and send out of the studio. Every single thing, whether it's yarn or if it's courses or if it's videos or if it's blog posts, whatever it is that we are creating at the studio. I know that you all work so hard and that you do it to the best of your abilities and your best effort, and that you just believe in what we are doing. And so I thank you so much for your dedication that has powered us through all of the many challenges that we have had over the years. I believe that it is our team that helps bring the light and the comfort and the love and the joy to people's lives through makers all around the world. And so your work, it matters so much. I've always said from the beginning to my team that we can build this business in whatever way, shape, or form we want. It's ours to create. And so, on a very, very deeply personal note, I do want to thank my team for helping to build a business that has been so resilient that it has allowed me to also be a mother and to weather a lot of the transitions that we've had, as many of us have had family as well. And so, your strength and your stability and your consistency has created a space for me to be both present at work and also with my family. So that is a gift that I will always be grateful for. And without you guys, we would not be celebrating 20 years. So, what is next? Our vision for the future is to be a maker and media company that really empowers a fulfilled and creative life. And the heart of that vision is community. So for many, many years, we've connected on platforms like Instagram and Ravelry, but I have always dreamed of a dedicated space for us and a real, true home where the spirit of our community could exist. So, in addition to the School of Sweet Georgia, this is why we recently launched the Sweet Georgia Community. The Sweet Georgia Community is meant to be a private, ad free sort of clubhouse where we can share not just our finished projects, but also the things that inspire us, the things that are challenging us, and the things that we are proud and feel successful about. And that brings me to you, our community. So while the team at Sweet Georgia dyes the yarn, you are the ones who give it life. You are the ones who transform every single thread into something that brings warmth and comfort and beauty and joy into the world. And so thank you for being on this journey with us for 20 years. I recently read a comment from a member of our school who said that it was one of the best online educational experiences she had ever had, especially from someone who felt unwelcome in sort of traditional craft spaces. And that right there just is everything. That is why we do what we do. We want to create a space where everyone feels welcome, where you feel like you belong, no matter what craft it is you're doing. Whether you're knitting or crocheting or spinning or weaving or dyeing, these things are not weird. These things matter. These things are meaningful. And there is a space where you belong. Our mission has always been to bring light to people's lives through color and craft. And through this work, I feel like I've personally experienced moments of transformation and awe. And so this is something that I want everyone to experience. So I invite you to continue this journey with us. Continue on in our new community, take a class, pick up a skein of yarn that you've been saving and make something with it. Keep sharing your stories. Thank you so much for an incredible 20 years. And let's look forward to the next.